Hello, 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 everybody. It is Forbes Riley, and I'm coming to you today from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. And for those of you who can see where I am, and you might want to go to my YouTube channel to check out how absolutely stunning we are staying at a private villa at a women's resort, at a women's retreat, something that I've never done before. And I think the question of the day is, why a retreat? What do you get out of this? And how interesting the whole experience has been. I've never done like an only girls thing, which is really quite a kick for somebody who's at my age, saying, yeah, I've never went to day camp or girls' school. And the conversation is very different when you have just women, which I'm totally loving. And I have to say that I highly suggest that you do this. I also just want to say that we are sponsored today by Pitch Secrets A to Z. That is a beautiful new book that's coming out that I am launching. If you want to understand how to communicate your value in 60 seconds or less without leaving money, opportunities, and impact on the table, I could be your best friend. With $2.5 billion in sales and over 40,000 students, and of course like 197 infomercials and decades of television and live home shopping, I learned a thing or two about how to pitch your ideas and how to so that you can do the same. And I got to tell you, it's not a book. If you hear it, when you can get your hands on it, when it launches at Amazon in about a couple of weeks, it's a movement. It is a mirror to your potential, and it is absolutely a manual for you to stop playing small and start pitching like a pro. Now, I do have to say, if you guys can see this, I just got lunch delivered to me. Let me tell you something. I miscalculated the time of so say hi to our private chef. Private chef, what is the most interesting thing that you're offering all the women here by cooking for them?
The most interesting thing?
Yeah.
A very, very good service and making everybody happy with our food and to give you a very, very good holiday.
It was an unbelievably delicious dinner. I'm looking at my lunch. Oh, I got tortillas. I've got it's just so beautiful and so English meets Mexico. So why am I doing this? Let me tell you something, guys. I have been burning the candle at more than both ends. For the last couple of weeks, if you've been following me on Instagram or want to know what I'm up to, it has been a year of yes. I launched this year saying that I was interested in the word domination. What does that mean? Well, domination over my own feelings of insecurity, my own desire to play small, then domination of my industry in that I can be one of the best female speakers that there ever were, have a very successful best-selling book, and then domination in a world where women are still fighting for their rights. And you'll have lots of this episode is going to have lots of controversy. What does that mean for us? Women have rights. Well, it's interesting because we didn't get the right to vote till somewhere in the mid 19th century. And as a woman, you have certain things that you deal with. They've certainly changed over the years. I was listening to a beautiful episode on Megyn Kelly of Goldie Hawn. And Goldie Hawn went into great detail about how she was 19 years old. She was a dancer at the World's Fair. And she met a movie producer named Al Capp, who invited her up to his apartment with a butler, and she had a script, so she thought it was very real. And the way she described it is that he came in and he was wearing a robe, and she thought, oh, well, I need to let this man know that I'm a good girl, and I'm not going to do that. And this is what I did. You play these head games going, that can't be, this guy can't be sitting there thinking 4 times my age that I'm going to do anything with him. Why would I do that? Not even in my scope of thinking. And so she said he had to read the script, and then he said, well, walk away and then walk towards me as you're reading it and pretend I'm the camera. And she did, because she wanted to be an actress. And this is what people play on. They play on your insecurities. And then she was over there. He said, well, that's really good. Now I want you to lift your skirt a little bit so I can see your knee. And she's thinking, oh, this is going to go not in a good way. And then finally he said, well, just come over here and give me a kiss. And she said, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to get a job that way. That's not what I'm interested in. And he said, well, then you're never going to go anywhere. This is the Goldie Hawn at 19. And it was really sad because it scarred her a little bit. And when she went home, she went to work that night. This was such an embarrassing moment. She was getting ready to get into a taxi and realized she didn't have any money. So now she's got to go back up to the evil movie producer she just, blew off. And he throws $20 at her, and I hope I never see you again. And she goes to work, then has a drink afterwards with a friend of hers who's going to drive them home. They get into a near fatal car accident that night. This is Goldie Hawn. They pick her up in the jaws of life and in a hospital bed. And what I love about Goldie is that she persevered. And she didn't use her cuteness to sleep with somebody or get ahead or jump the rope. And it was reminding to me that I went through a lot of that. And I will tell you, as a woman, as an actress, as an artist, it just squishes your self-esteem. It makes you doubt your talent. And nobody should do that. Then I've got my daughter who's 22 years old, and she's the CEO of a company. She made her first million on her own at 18. And people look at her like, oh, little girl, what could you possibly know? And she's like, Mom, I don't know. How do I let these people know that I make more than most of them and I can help them? But they're busy looking at me like I'm a little girl. And then if you're too pretty or too sexy, oh my God, you have another set of obstacles. And by the way, if you've never gone through life too pretty, you don't think, oh, how could that be a problem? Yeah, it is, because too pretty people are supposed to be stupid. There's this judgment that walks in before they do. Now, speaking of too pretty, I've got the woman who set up this whole retreat next to me. Come here. She's like, what do you mean me? Come over here, Miss. She knows how pretty I think she is. I think she's absolutely beautiful. Now, this is also, you want to see a beautiful face inside and out, you want to go to YouTube and check this out. But we're also a radio show. So they can only hear you. And I've been talking about why Mexico, why a retreat. You're a mother, I'm a mother, we're both busy working women. You put this retreat together, why?
It's been something that's been on my heart since 2009. And one day I woke up and I just imagined a place where we could get like-minded people together, of the same mind and same spirit together, and share and help each other grow. And a lot of times in life, Forbes, people have, they have hardships, they have challenges, things that they have to deal with on a daily basis. And I just wanted to create a space for people, a little bit of a maybe getaway, a break from reality, but a place to grow and be able to have something to take home with them. And over the years, I just kept putting it to the side, and the voice never went away, and I was looking for the right location. And of course, timing plays into everything. And here we are now in 2025, and
can you believe it?
No, I can't. I had to think.
And we're in
when
the
I said
fourth
that.
month already. Like I
know.
literally just, I remember saying Happy New Year, and now it is the fourth month of 2025, and it
That's
does.
part of why I'm doing this, because we are on borrowed time. I really believe we're on borrowed time, and we have so many people have greatness in them. So many people have so much more to do. They don't feel like they've lived their calling. They don't feel like they're enough. They don't feel like they've achieved the things that when they were at a certain stage in their life, that they had plans to go out and achieve all these great things, and then life got in the way. Maybe it was motherhood, maybe it was, a death of a loved one, or whatever it was for them. So many people are sitting on this greatness. They have dreams and goals and vision for what can be, and they're just settling for the status quo. And I want to break that mold. I want to break the mold.
I love that. Well, Missy is very, very successful in her company, and she's a big recruiter. She sees greatness in other people, and you really help elevate that in so many ways. What's one of the key secrets to your success, do you think?
Oh, that's a great question. Number one, I don't take no for an answer. I believe that absolutely anything you believe is possible can be done. No has never been a word of mine.
Okay, if you're sitting there and thinking, wait, where did she get that from? How is that possible? How does that come to you?
I grew up with it. I had parents that we lived it. It wasn't a motto. It wasn't something we saw on TV or on a billboard. It was what we lived every single day. There was never a moment when my parents said, that dream's too big, or you can't achieve that. It was always, yes, you can. Let's figure out how we're going to do it.
In fact, we've inspired Misty. She has an idea for a new book, and it's called?
Yes, and figure it out later. Forbes, I live by that. And it has helped me personally make so many decisions, but it has also helped my team make so many decisions. We overthink everything.
That's so true.
Small things, big things, in between things, we overthink everything. And sometimes it's just that leap of faith. It's just that person giving you that permission to take that next step. And I really believe that, yes, say yes now, figure it out later. We are equipped with the things we need to figure it out. We just have to take that leap, make that commitment to yes, because then everything else we do is going to play into how do we figure out that yes.
Which is interesting because you rented this entire place last year,
Yes.
had no idea people were going to show up.
No, No idea.
That's a definitely leap of yes.
Well, it is. And here's the thing. So I've attended a lot of retreats over the years, and they're usually 2-day, 3-day, max 4-day retreats. You come, you do all these things, and then day 4, they send you home. And for me personally, I'm somebody, I take a little bit of time to open up, to become vulnerable, to really get comfortable with the people who I'm surrounded by. And I couldn't find what I wanted. So I thought, I'm going to create it. And I was looking for a space. I've looked for a space over the last 10 years, and longer than 10 years. Good
Isn't that
Lord.
funny? I know,
yes,
right?
I had to stop there and think. And finally, one day I found the spot, and I didn't know exactly, but I did know when I saw it, I would know.
And I love that. That's how manifestation works. It's kind of how you know when you meet this person that they're right for you. Well, I'll tell you, I walked in here, and I've lived in Mexico on and off for 10 years, and there's all kind of fun. You can get big beach resorts. I've worked at Club Med. I've worked in from Cancun to Sonora Bay, East Coast, West Coast, all the way down south to Acapulco. And I walked in here, and from the outside, you're kind of in the middle of a city, a small city, and it doesn't look like much. And I was like, oh, this can't be what she thinks it is. And you open the door, and I actually turned.
Did you show them? Yeah.
I did. I didn't have to walk around the pool because there's this giant pool in the center of this, I guess it could have been an industrial park, and they built the cutest like palapas, bedrooms, so well designed, so much fun, modern, interesting. Like I don't think they spared an expense to make this place look great.
Well, and yesterday I sat down with the owner, and I was talking to her, and I asked her how this evolved. And they bought a piece of land, and they were going to build condos here because that was the norm. That's what everybody did.
Right.
And she said it just didn't feel authentic to them. Her husband is Mexican, and they started dreaming, and they started putting things out and vacationing in exotic places, and thought, why can we not create that here? And so that's what they did. And then COVID hit. They opened a few months before COVID. COVID hit, so they had to revamp everything. What this was originally was a small boutique hotel.
Oh.
And so then because of COVID, they thought we need to rethink this and see what we're going to do moving forward with this. And so now their main business is weddings, retreats, small groups that come in, family reunions, that type of thing. And it's spectacular because we have these common spaces, but yet we each have our own place to go back
Right, so we
to.
can all eat together, which we did last night, which for the first time when we just got here was spectacular. Great way to open up, go round table, find out who's here, make some deep friends. Not only when you break bread do you get closer to people, but when you break bread, then you wake up and have coffee with them, and you go to bed with them, and you're like, I was up at 5 a.m. and we were at the gym this morning, which by the way, because I didn't set my clock back the right way because we're in a different time zone, the gym doesn't open at 5 a.m., it opens at 6 a.m.
Now we know.
I will tell you though, and I had a whole group of people, and we worked out, and just mind, body, and spirit, getting healthy, feeling great about yourself. What's one takeaway that you're excited about for this?
Restoration, and really don't let that dream leave. That little voice that's in your mind that maybe seems really, really big right now. Don't let somebody tell you that it's too big or that it can't happen. Because
And if you do, you call Misty.
Call
you say,
me. Yes, absolutely. Because we're sitting here in the space that I imagined back in 2009. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm going to say this. I dreamed of her as well.
Wait, you dreamed of me? Of Forbes Riley?
I dreamed of you, Forbes.
Wait.
I dreamed of you. I was looking for someone like you. I didn't know you existed, but I knew what I wanted. The same as the space that we're sitting in right now. I didn't know that it existed, but I held on to that since 2009. And here we are. But I held on to a dream one day, this small child, I was 14 years old, and it was my first taste of leadership. And I went to a leadership retreat at 14. Wow. They put me in a sleepaway camp. There was no running water. There were outhouses. I was just appalled at the whole situation. And it's a core memory of mine now. That many years later, 30 plus years later, it's a core memory of mine. That was the first taste I understood what it meant to have somebody show you the way. And ever since that day, I've been looking for that person who has done it, who has experienced the things that I want to experience, who has had the success and not just talked about the success, because you know as well as I do, there are so many people out there, you guys, that they talk about the success, but they've never experienced it themselves. And Forbes is different. And the minute I found her, it was over deliver on everything she does. And yes, she's a mentor to many, but more than that, she's a coach. So if you can envision just for a minute out on the football field and you're running the ball, and I'm from Canada, so I reference hockey, but here I'm going to go with football. So everybody,
You go.
So yeah, people get me. And you're running the ball and you do something that's just a little bit off the play. And your coach is not on the sideline. He's running into the field and he's saying, stop, don't, that's not the right way. Do it this way. We've ran this play. I've ran this play 50 times before. I know what works. Follow me. That's the type of coach that Forbes is. She doesn't sit on the sideline. She doesn't sit beside you and go, yes, do this, do this. She's like, let's go. Let's do it together. And this right here, sitting here beside you right now, is proof of what I'm saying. This is how Forbes teachers and coaches.
I literally said to Misty, she was doing a yoga retreat this morning about an hour ago, and I'm like, you're coming on live with me. She's like, I'm what? And then she just stopped for a second and said, okay, yes, whatever you just said.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like if Forbes told me to drop and give her 20, I'd drop and give her 20, because
a $20 bill?
If that works, I'll $20 bill, whatever you want. Because when you find that person who you didn't even know that existed, but you found that person, you do what they say. Success leaves clues. We've all heard that over and over and over and over.
Do you know what? I'm having a little epiphany over here that
Okay.
I never set out. I did to find my second husband. I set out wildly intentionally. I drew a picture. I knew exactly what I wanted. And then he showed up even better. But all the things that I checked off, all of them were there.
Mm-hmm.
There's some people who are like, oh, you just make a list. How's that possible? I don't really know how. It doesn't matter. We're sitting in the resort that she dreamed of, a decade ago, literally a decade. It's so
Yeah.
crazy. And now I'm listening to you and I'm saying, you know what I never asked the universe for? Was I've certainly asked for teachers and mentors, but I never asked for it the way that you did.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that you intentionally put this out is what you will get back. I was walking with one of your clients today, and she said that she was a little tired of the level of people that she was attracting. They were very needy. It was hard to be with them.
Yeah.
And I looked at her and she said, I have to go find another group of people. I said, no, it's not about you having to find them. You have to ask for them. She's like, oh, what do you say? I said, so she started to formulate, I want people who are leaders. I want women who've gotten there, but they're a little burnt out. They want to scale. They're already at 7 figures. I don't think I've ever said that I want a mentor who's been there and done that. I just kind of happily, and it's ironic.
Yes.
Sometimes you teach what you need to know most,
yes.
but I kind of like been bitching I hadn't found that
Yeah.
person, but I don't think I asked for them. Oh my gosh.
Well, and it's funny because yesterday when you got here, I said, as I've gotten older, I've really started to appreciate time more than dollars. We can always go out and make more money. Time we never get back. And as I said in the beginning, I feel like we really truly are on borrowed time. And you kind of said, oh, well, not a big deal. And I'm like, no, this is a big deal. It's a big deal that you took time out of your busy life to be here to support me in this, because number one, you don't have to. This is above and beyond what I even looked for in a coach or manifested. There's very few people who would do this and take the time and come and, I mean, you guys, she's working, she's doing, she's present,
I was going
she's
down.
with,
She's pregnant?
present.
Oh God, I thought, how could
Jesus, no.
65-year-old woman is pregnant. Newsflash.
Oh my
Forbes
gosh.
Riley is having a baby.
No, she's present and she's here with our people. And even when we're sitting and having conversation, Forbes is the same Forbes at the dinner table last night with no sleep as she is on the podcast with you guys right now. Like, who she is really who she is. And when you said, I know I understand yesterday, I know you're excited, or I know you appreciate me being here. I said, you don't know. You actually don't know. And the reason why you don't know is because you never had a you.
I never had a me, and that's a good point. And then now I'm going to start looking for a me, because I jokingly used to say the me was Oprah, thinking but she's not. And I like Oprah very much, but I think it was where she was in her career as a talk show host. That was one of the things that I did. I never got to that level, but I wasn't really looking for her to mentor me. And by the way, I reached out to our dear mutual friend, Tim Story, who's a friend. I'm a fan of his, he's a fan of mine. And he's been on Oprah many, many times. And one day I said to him, I said, I would like to meet Oprah. And he had this very protective thing, and he said, well, why would she want to meet you?
Interesting.
And I thought, oh, see, if you lead with what's in it for someone else rather than just ask for what you want. So here's the irony of Misty, is what am I doing here? And I'm going to say it's partly selfish in that I have been, like I said earlier, burning this candle, running between my team, and I work with my daughter and my son, and I work with my husband. And so I was like, I just want to go away and like sit on a beach somewhere. And that's exactly what happened. So giving to people is something that I love doing instinctively. I don't mind. In fact, it feeds my soul.
Absolutely.
But it was also the timing is literally a week in between of massive events on both sides where I'm not sleeping 18 hours a day. My birthday month, I love Mexico, and the stars just aligned. But I love your say yes and figure it out later is a really interesting mantra that everyone in your world really needs to embrace.
And a lot of them already have. The other thing too that I've always believed is if you don't ask, the answer is always no. If you ask, it's 50-50. And so I was not expecting a yes from you to come, but I thought if I don't ask, then it's a for sure no.
Do you know what's so funny? Is there are people that I don't ask, as powerful and successful, and I know that I am.
Yeah.
There are people, and sometimes I just don't ask because that little girl inside of me is like, what if they say no? What if they?
But who
I'm like,
cares?
My daughter's the same way. She's like, Mom, you're never going to see those people again. Do it.
Yeah.
But there's a little something inside of me. We all have those little triggers, those little quirks, and one of those is getting rejected. I mean, I spent my entire life being an actress, and when you're an actress, you are rejected on a regular basis. I don't care how big an ego you think you have, and you're rejected for stupid reasons. You're too pretty, you're too thin, you're too fat, you're too tall, you're too short, you look like my mother-in-law. Whatever it happens to be, things you cannot control.
Yeah.
But still, when people would say no, at some point I had to stop acting for a while because it just got like, I'm sorry, I can't. Number one, you don't want to be what they want. This is the irony.
Yeah.
You can just be you, and you sign a contract when you walk in that you have the right to not like me because I'm me. Well, shit, that messes with my head.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny when I told my husband, Forbes said, yes, she's coming to the retreat. He said, well, of course. I said, what do you mean, of course? And he said, because you asked. He said, how many people don't ask?
Right.
And I ask for everything.
Wow. Well, I'm going to introduce two of you. You've got some students here. It's actually in the middle of lunchtime. So everyone has been very gracious to come down and pour into you guys while we're on this retreat. So I'm going to have you introduce
Thank you. Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't mean to totally cut you off.
No, I want them to have, what's happening here is incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
What's happening here?
So I have a very dear friend of mine that I've known for years and years and years, a decade or more. And he has these brilliant gifts. And over the years, I was able to see these gifts. And oftentimes he would hide his gifts because he does not like to be seen.
Oh, we'll deal with that in 2 days.
I know you will, and I cannot wait. So he doesn't like to be seen, but the world needs what he has. He's brilliant. Oh. And he has taken the time and put the things he's learned over the years into programs, into a book, and it's all on a shelf and it's hiding. And I thought, this is the perfect opportunity for me to have my first retreat with someone who I love and respect, who I know is going to pour into my people with his whole heart.
But it sounds like he needs to Forbes it.
He absolutely needs to Forbes it. And I have ulterior motives. Do not worry. And he already knows. But you guys, I want you to meet him. His name is Christian Kaufman. He is originally from Las Vegas.
Well, we'll introduce him, but first I want to introduce one of your teammates who's been sitting here, who's very patient, and she wants to go have some lunch.
Come.
So get over.
I did eat.
Oh, you ate? Yeah. Oh, all right. Then come on, Kristen. I just want to be very respectful because literally people are coming down going, hey, I want to talk.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Okay.
Kristen, that was a beautiful, wait, you can't go too far. Come sit in the middle of us. That was a beautiful intro. I had a chance to meet this amazing man last night, and I saw him sitting next to me as I was doing my little intro, and he said the most beautiful thing as we walked away. No one's ever quite said it the way you did. Remember what you said about my aura, whatever color? Mm-hmm. And you need to talk loud. They're over here.
Okay.
And what did you say?
I described what was happening with her aura. I told her that when she came out, there was yellow and blue with it when she was presenting. And then halfway through, not that she wasn't in her groove, but it completely shifted. And the most amazing orange color just came out and really enveloped everyone. And it was like the energy of the room. It was comfortable, it was settled, and it was just beautiful. And I haven't seen that like shift, like boom, in a a minute in the middle of something, just to like the control of that is beyond powerful. And that made me feel, I was like, I knew that you know what you're doing, 100%. But that it showed me on a different level where I was like, okay, this isn't just you talking. This is you knowing.
So,
You know, like you know, like you know.
well, speaking of knowing, Misty gave you quite the lead in here. Tell everybody a little bit about Mr. Christian.
That's a difficult question. I miss
No,
it.
actually, it's a very lovely, simple question. Go for it.
I hate talking about myself, but
We're gonna Forbes
So
you.
cancel. Why
Yeah.
would you hate talking? That's a whole other
because I'm
bullet.
like,
Oh,
what
God.
what aspect of me do you want me to talk about?
Well, they want to know why you're here. She says you're brilliant. Brilliant at doing what?
So I do energy work, but I basically pull that into real life situations, how to use yogic philosophy, um, energy medicine in everyday terms for people so people can understand different aspects of themselves in a new way to see how your thoughts, how your emotions correspond to your physical body, what's happening, the synchronicity in your life, how to make sense of it.
Have you always had this gift?
Yes.
How weird was this gift when you were younger and nobody understood it?
Super weird, but I was very lucky to have a father who encouraged it and talked to me about it from the time I was a child.
How did it appear for you?
He first started teaching me about energy healing from as far back as I
Oh,
could
so he was
remember.
in that world.
He was
Okay,
in that,
that helps
world,
a
but
lot.
not to this degree. I was just very sensitive to energy and feeling things in people. When I was little, I used to create stories about people when we would drive by. And as I got older, I was very creative. My family would joke and talk about how Christian's very imaginative and he creates these stories. As I got older, I started learning that those stories were true. I would look at someone and things would just flood into my mind and I would create scenes of things.
that's
And it was
interesting.
connecting energy in a different way. As I got older, I learned what that was. I'm able to see energy through different senses, which many people can. We're just not taught how to do it. So
What's your intention and your hope for this week here in Mexico?
one part was for personal growth. So I need to create a container for myself and move into that. But the other, I just want to share this with people. And a few days before Misty had asked me about this, I was like, I want to get back into this. I want to do retreats and more immersive experiences for people that's not just a workshop where you can actually go and implement things and sit with it because this type of work takes
Oh,
time.
you know what? We are about out of time for this segment. We're going to have to take a quick commercial break from our sponsors, and we're going to come back and continue this conversation. I've got some great, beautiful souls that I would love you to meet. I hope you're having massive FOMO. If you go to my YouTube, you're going to see how beautiful it looks. It's quite exotic. We're sitting under a thatched roof. We're having amazing Mexican food. We're meeting friends, and I wish that you were here. But the least that we can do is share the experience and the growth with you. So do me a favor. You're listening to the Forbes Factor. We focus on health, wealth, and happiness. Don't go away. There's lots more where this came from right after this message. Hey everybody, it is Forbes Riley, and welcome back to the Forbes Factor, the second half of my show today here in beautiful Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Exotic and wonderful, and if you've never enjoyed the beach, the serenity, I've lived in Mexico for 10 years on and off. I lived everywhere from the northwest of Sonora Bay and Hermosillo down to Atulco, Playa Blanca, all the way down to the bottom of Ixtapa, Zihuatanejo, and Acapulco, up through the middle. Here's a funny story. I took a bus. I was very adventurous in my 20s, and I wanted to go to Cancun, but I couldn't afford to fly. So I took a bus. How bad could it be? We went through the Yucatan, and somewhere I think we ate a really rotten iguana because I got the sickest that I've ever been in my life for 2 days. My insides were all over the outside of every bathroom I went to. I highly don't recommend that part. But I love Cancun. And in fact, 4 weeks from now is my birthday, and I'm being taken to Cancun for my birthday because there's something about Mexico. I don't know what it is. We have lots of beaches in the US. They never developed like here. The thatched houses, the fact that it feels comfortable. Oh, that would be my team not knowing I have a radio show right now. No, Miss McCall. All right. Sorry. Radio show now. Anyway, what I wanted to say was I'm sitting here with Misty Levertu, who has put together this beautiful women's retreat. That was a man's voice that you heard. We do welcome men, but it's mostly for women. Actually, he's a teacher, so he doesn't really count. But there's 18 women here from all around, all over, many from Canada, which is, I think that's a country north of us. We were going to close the borders on those crazy kids, but we decided you can come in. I love Canada. Misty, what's one difference between Canada and the US that you want to share with everybody?
You know what? Essentially, we're the same. We're the same, except we live in the cold. That's it. We are the same people. We're all here to give back. We're all here looking for our purpose. We're all here looking to impact the world.
Hey, I'm going to say that that's not true. I've worked in Vancouver and Toronto. You guys are not the same. Canada is like the nicest.
I was going to
Really?
say,
you're like the nicest people on the
Do
planet.
you really think that?
I do. I've never met a not very nice, Canadian.
Yeah.
And I think, so you want to hear something really funny? So one of the women is rolling her cart to clean the rooms. And because our team said it's really loud, they offered to literally pick up her cart and carry it. So the rolling didn't interfere with our radio show. That was the most precious thing, guys. That's an example of figure it out. You see a calling in life and you just go for it. And so many people that I coach, talk to every single day or I interview seem stuck. That was such a not stuck moment. That is, I'm going to pitch in and help, and not for any reason other than I see a need to do that. Krishna, I want you just on a photo thing because I want to meet some more women here. You've had a chance to really meet a couple of the women this morning, really do yoga, do some energy work. What's one thing people at home can take away from like your experience, if you could coach them for a second?
the easiest thing of where you start is where you find discomfort. So the negative things, the things that bother you, that's where your work is. It's not figuring something out. It's those situations coming to your life. That's where you work. You don't try and pick something else. It's where you have the discomfort, where you have the issue, where you have the judgment. Those are the places that you move into because that's what, number one, what your system needs you to focus on.
All right, so be uncomfortable. Be very, very uncomfortable.
Lean into it.
All right, I'm going to let you guys go have some lunch.
Yes.
Thank you both. Say
Thank
goodbye
you.
to Miss
Thank you,
Misty
thank
and
you.
Christian. I'm going to invite Jesse and Sarah over right now. I had a chance to meet, well, Jesse's got an amazing story of us meeting before. Come here, Sarah. Come over here first. Sarah and I sat across each other from dinner last night. Spunky, this 4'11" pact of energy ball who's married to somebody a foot taller than you, yes, which I thought was very cute. What are you doing here? What do you hope to get out of this retreat?
Okay, well, I'm here for a whole load of reasons, but I'm here because I love community. I love just pushing myself. I love learning more about myself. And I knew coming into this being a Misty retreat and her first, crack at this, I just knew it was going to be so much greatness. And I knew it was where I needed to be because sometimes you just feel that. You just get this invite to something and you just feel it so deep in your gut. And I had that feeling and I said to my husband, I don't know what it is, but I need to go on this, but I don't know if I should.
Oh, funny.
And he went, well, why not?
Oh,
And I went, well, I don't know. I don't think I should spend the money. He's like, well, why not?
right.
And I'm like, okay, you're right. I'm going. Booked it, got everything going. So that's why I'm here, just to learn more about myself.
By the way, that's why you want to go on retreats. I have been doing retreats of different kinds most of my life. When I was 31, I attended my first seminar. I didn't know that people had seminars. I didn't know that personal development in my 30s was a thing. And in fact, I talk about the very first time I even knew that people talked about their emotions was my roommate was an alcoholic working on recovery, not very successful, but I went to AA meetings with him. I'm not an alcoholic, but I will tell you what, 22 years old, somebody stands up at an AA meeting, says, "Hi, my name is," and start talking from their heart. And I was in shock. I'm like, people talk this way? They share those kind of feelings? But they're an alcoholic. How could that relate to me? Next person got up, did the same thing. "Hi, my name is," and I'm like, oh my God, there are places in this world where if you are stuck, you are challenged. They're doing it. They're talking. They're going through their feelings. They're doing energy work. They're doing yoga. They're doing whatever they do to say, hey, I don't have to live the way I was raised. I don't have to believe the way the people around me think. I can be independent. I can grow and be successful. Now, this amazing woman is not, how old are you, can I ask?
43.
Okay, she looks like she's 22. She's a gymnast and an aerialist. You just got to share why.
My body loves movement. My body loves being upside down. I love the thrill of it. I love the challenge of it. I love pushing myself and repeating things to the point where you just, you're like competing against yourself.
Right,
more
but there's
than
a
other
weird
people.
thing. I can't do a somersault. I hate being
Yes,
upside down. No. It's not that I can. We
Yes,
can all
you
take-
won't. You don't
I
want
do
to.
not
I
enjoy
love
being
it.
upside
Oh,
down. Please
like
stay.
if I could string some silks from this roof right now, I would be like right there. I'd be up there right now.
We have to go find some silks. I want to see this chick upside down doing it. No, but you're born that way, aren't you?
Yeah, I believe I am.
Wow. What do you get out of being an aerialist? What is one of the sensations that I'm missing?
It's very freeing. Like it's very like when you trust yourself enough to wrap and get to the top and then you release and you just get this like almost like if you wanted to be a bird,
Okay.
right? I can't fly, I can't just grow wings, but I can allow myself just to like release and trust my body, trust the movement, and then boom, you just land and it's like it's just like
I'm tempted. I'm tempted. All right. What's one thing that you would love to share with women around the world?
oh, okay, that your current place at where you are in life very likely is not what you thought it was going to be like. So in my 40s, I saw my world very different. I saw my life in a very different space, but I'm learning to be extremely happy and grateful for where I am and just trust that this is where I'm supposed to be right now. And this is where my life is supposed to be going.
I love that.
Even though it is, no, I shouldn't say completely, but it is very different from what I thought it was going to be at this point.
Join the club. Give me a big hug. Go off and finish your lunch and say hi to everybody. Jesse, come on in here. And I'm open for anybody who's sitting here who wants to have a little conversation. You, my girl, I had forgotten. It's funny when you meet somebody in a Zoom box, you're not sure if they're 4'11" or 5'11". Mm-hmm. And then you meet this person, it's like, oh my God, it's so shocking. When I saw you yesterday, you were literally like, oh my God, she's here. And I didn't put two and two together until you started talking. Will you tell everybody how we first met?
Okay, so we first met on a Zoom, and it was her 1 minute to millions, and we did a week-long training. And so it was my turn to step up to the front, and I started talking, and Forbes called out like exactly what do I say it with
You can say exactly what it is, sure.
Just some frustrations that I had, and I had broke down and started crying, and this was like within 5 minutes. And she's like, I think your sadness is anger.
Now, by the way, you guys know that I do a variety of things. You should not do a variety of things. You should do one thing very well. I teach that, I know it, I just don't live it. And what I mean by that is, so I'm in the fitness world, okay, which I don't talk about much at the moment. I'm in the business billionaire strategist sphere where I take companies and I grow them and I build people's back ends. Nice. I also teach people to verbally articulate their pitch. I love this because that's something everybody needs to do. So that's what I've been focusing on, but I still do a little bit of emotional healing. So you come on in a business training, in a 5-day boot camp on how to express literally 1 minute to millions. And you started crying. And then we know we're in dangerous territory because I asked her what was going on, and you said what? You introduced me to your daughter, yes?
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Tell me about her.
So I started and I said I have a 10-year-old daughter with Down syndrome, and I also have 2 boys that are younger. And that having a daughter, even though she's high functioning, it's still a lot of struggles. And so I was just kind of talking through that.
And what I
Then-
saw and what I just and I said to you was she was sad about it, and I said no. I said, and this again goes to my energetic healing. I said, I think you're mad at her, and the look on your face was like, I'm gonna throw daggers at you. That was the initial like, whoa.
well, it was like a self-realization too. It was like, because I was like, am I mad at her? Because like she's this most incredible little human being. Like I'm not mad at her. And then Forbes is like, no, I know you absolutely love your daughter. She goes, you're mad at the fact of the struggle that it is. And she goes, you wanted to have a daughter who would become your best friend and you guys would do all these things together. And it's been a challenge. And I was like, that's exactly what it is. But since I've had that, my relationship with my daughter has changed too, because now I'm not just her caretaker. We are friends and we laugh together and we go to town together, the two of us. And it's totally different. And even though she's just 10, it just flipped all that for me, because I'm like, yeah, I'm just mad that it got tough, but that's okay because it doesn't change who she is. She's an incredible little human being.
Right. And I love that. Is when I walked in yesterday, what was your reaction? It was precious.
Oh, I was just like, you're here. She just like, it changed everything for me. I just looked at everything so different. And you said that's trickling down and affecting your relationship with your boys too. I said, you know what it is? Because here, not even knowing, I was resenting that my middle boy could do anything and everything, but she couldn't.
Right.
So then I even had to take a hard look at that, because he doesn't deserve that either, because they are all incredible little kids.
And I will tell you, it's such an honor to be reminded of that story, because like Christian said, a little bit of what I do is a gift to me as well. So to watch the change and the transformation of people who show up and their lives are altered because of something that you said. So if you are a teacher, you are a coach, you are an intuitive on any level, even a speaker, this is and I teach speaking for this reason. You don't know the ripple effect that it will have by you living your truth. And by the way, putting yourself out there is not always a very comfortable thing to do. People might not like what you do. People will challenge you. But if you have a calling, and one of the callings you can have is just to be happy. I have a calling to be happy. And that pisses people off to no end.
Yes.
Because so many people are not, and they don't have that calling. They have a calling to be miserable. I would leave those people. I would.
Yes.
Because they're committed to you and they're committed to dragging you down. You know, if you've been a lifeguard and you ever get out there, somebody who's drowning, rather than getting saved and appreciate that, will in fact pull you down because they're so struggling.
Yes.
And that has been a very interesting visual for me to understand. You came to this retreat here, and what were you hoping to get out of it?
Oh, the self-growth, and in multiple ways. Misty told me one time, and this kind of blew me away. She come up to me last fall at an event, and she's like, "You are memorable." And I'm like, "Me?" And she's like, "The second you walked through that door, I knew who you were." And she's like, "I just envision you up on stage giving speeches one day." And then she asked me in February to speak and tell my story about my miscarriage. So then I got up and spoke to that too. But this retreat, I knew it was just like a piece of that puzzle, this 6 months of like pure growth.
Yeah.
This is a piece of that puzzle. So now after this, then I will be able to move on and know that I'm good enough to be that person sharing my story with other people and inspiring other people.
I love that. Tell me something about and guys, I decided to go live today. I could have easily done a pre-record saying I'm kind of on vacation. It feels like an exotic work experience, not more like a vacation, but a place where you're going to leave some baggage here.
Yeah.
What's one additional thing that you would like to leave behind as you move forward?
Oh, additional thing to leave behind.
Yeah, anger, resentment, confusion, frustration, lack of knowledge. What's one thing you're like, I'm done with that?
I think what I'd like to leave behind is the fact that people who have done me wrong in my life,
Right?
I don't need to hold on to them because if they're a family member or something.
Oh, I love that. All right, we're going to talk about that in breakthrough. Give her a big hug, Miss Jessie. Thank you so much. I will see you at lunch in a little bit. And I'm just going to conclude with everybody here, just to put a bow on what you've experienced, what you're seeing, and why today's show is so interesting and I think just so crucial to your growth. You know, I used to live at Club Med. I would live in exotic locations and I love just running away and enjoying it to no end. But I will share with you, many people don't do that. They have one vacation a year or they do something, it's just like, really? That's all you're taking for yourself? And one of the things that when you get away from your environment, you begin to heal. For me personally, there's something very sacred about being surrounded by women who are not trying to impress anybody. They are just trying to be real. Last night was filled with tears, filled with people who were frustrated. We have one woman who can't go home because her husband is looking for her. Really kind of interesting to see where different people are in their lives. And I will tell you, it is very raw. It is very present. I think you met some wonderful people right now. You met Misty, the woman who put this together. And I personally, everybody just left. I just sent them off to lunch so I could just spend a moment with you. I'm very grateful. I also needed to just decompress and leave my environment. And you know, a couple of weeks ago, we had Marie Diamond on the show, and she's a feng shui expert. I hope you love that episode. If you missed it, please hop over to YouTube. I've got visuals of all of our episodes, and you can see myself and Marie. And it really spoke to how you arrange your living space has a massive impact on how you feel on a general basis, who you invite in, and your level of success. And so for me, I got to tell you, we did something last night. We all wrote down some feelings with the idea that we're going to let them go. And I folded that paper. I held it to my heart, something that I want to let go. And when I placed it in the fire, truly as the flames rose, I felt something just leave my body. People say when they're finished with these kind of exercises, oh my God, I feel lighter. Well, it's not like you took off a winter coat, or it's not like you lost 10 pounds, at least not technically. But I will tell you that emotional baggage weighs you down. People can see it. You know, Christian talked about my aura, which I thought was very sweet. That's very lovely. I can feel an energy shift. I've never really seen it as colors. I'm excited to learn that from him. I also have to say that something that's very important is when you go home from a place like this, what do you take with you? So for me, I'm just going to wrap up by saying, this is to me the power of the pause, and not like a dog pause, but a pause where you just stop talking, you stop thinking, you literally get quiet. Last night, I went into my bedroom very early and I just sat there and I meditated for about an hour. And my mind went all over the place because when I'm home, I'm always thinking, okay, my husband wants me, or I've got to go do something or clean something, or there's laundry. There was nothing to do here last night for the first time, I don't know, in 6 months for me. And right before we all went to bed, we sat in a circle. There was no phones. We weren't wearing any makeup. It was just women telling stories. And then this silence where we all asked to go home and not talk to anybody, not get on your cell phone, just be with yourself. And I watched this one woman. Gosh, she just spoke the truth. Hang on a second. She found herself bawling her eyes out and saying, you know, I haven't been in an environment like this ever. I've never had a chance to just let a piece of me go. She talked about feeling guilty, and we went on a whole dialogue of what a waste of time and energy it is to feel guilt in your life. And guilt means if you're a mom, you're not at work. If you're at work, you're not being with your kids. If you feel this sense of guilt, I'm going to urge you to find a retreat, find a training where you can just let that go. You can go, you know what? I don't need to carry this with me because it's not serving me or my body. And they often talk about when you get sick, it's called dis-ease. Well, I got to tell you, when you're dis-eased with your work environment, I had one woman bitching about her boss. It's like, girlfriend, you got to leave. You just can't stay there and stew in the situation. If you're in an abusive relationship, when do you get to go? If you're an overeater and your body is enveloping you, when do you go to leave? So we did a little breath work before we all left, which is just connecting to this thing, because, you know, you can live without food for about a month, water without, a couple of days. You can't live without a breath for like more than a minute, 2 minutes, maybe 7 if you're David Blaine. But I got to tell you, understanding how to connect to just take a big breath and let it out. Just that one act. If you literally take that one time out of your entire 24 hours of a day and remember to breathe, you ground yourself, you center yourself, you start spinning around like a whirling dervish. And then the other thing we're going to do tonight, we're going to focus on mirror work. If you've never done that. And guys, if any of this is interesting to you, I certainly have show notes below, but reach out to me at ForbesRiley.com. I attend a lot of retreats. I hold my own retreats, do my own trainings, and I think you guys know that. But if you're looking for answers, and I'm hoping that you are, because a big lesson that I got out of Misty today was that she was very clearly looking for the right mentor. I was looking to go away. I ended up exactly where I'm supposed to be, but I never looked for the kind of mentor that really spoke to my heart. And I'm going to declare it here that I'm looking for somebody who's been wildly successful and now is at a place in their life, and it's a woman, because I'm always curious how a woman handles everything, from raising the kids to running the house to doing the business to taking care of herself. When I was younger, when I was 19 years old, I was in between college and I had just decided that I should go live with a billionaire. I didn't even know what that meant, how you would find one. I didn't know people who had millions. I grew up in a very financially struggling environment. And I answered an ad in the paper for a social secretary, and it was to live with the Grace family in their home, must be available full time. And I didn't have a whole lot to do that summer. And so I applied. Well, I don't know if they just thought I was sweet. I could learn something because I was not all that skilled. I didn't even know what a social secretary meant. It was a New York City apartment that had 15 rooms. It was massive. They had all these antiques, and the woman of the house was very lovely. And she and I got on. I think she wanted a friend more than anything. And they hired me, and I lived in like the little maid's quarter for free, which I thought was really cool. They let me go out for auditions for movies every once in a while. They even drove me when I booked a job on a soap opera on Another World. They were like little proud parents. I thought they were going to be mad. But I tell the story that unlike kids who grew up today, there was no Instagram. I didn't know what brands were. And Mrs. Grace and I are in the car, and she says, you need to get Louis Vuitton out of the trunk. And I turned to her and I said, who's in the trunk? And she looked at me and she said, oh, you'll learn. I said, oh, you're right. See, my mother covered our couches in plastic, and we had the same hand-me-down thrift store couch, I think the entire time I lived with my folks. I didn't mind, and I didn't even really notice it until I watched what other people did, how they ran their lives, how they had beautiful cars and accessories, and they didn't have fake jewelry, they had real diamonds. And it was an education. So I invite you to get educated, to pursue a path of excellence in whatever direction that you're going. Find someone who's done it before you. That's the definition of a mentor. And if you can't afford them, ask them if you can trade out your time for something. Is there something nice that you can do for them as you're building up your repertoire and your bank account? But don't wait. The biggest crime that I see in all of us is waiting. If you're listening to this show, I want to close with, I just read that Val Kilmer died today. Val was 65 years old. In 30 days, 25 days, I turned 65. That doesn't seem very old right now, and it does wait a second, that's a little too young. And I remember him in some of the fun movies. He was so beautiful and so talented, and then he kicked ass as Ice in Top Gun, and today he's gone. I bet you if you told him when he was in his 20s that he would be gone by 65, he might have made some different choices. So I'll ask you, the second thing that happened to me this week is that I'm in the movie Black Creek. I think you all know that. I co-star in this film as the bad girl. It's an action-packed Western feature film we shot in Tucson a year and a half ago. I'm very proud of all the work that I did. My co-star, my love interest in that movie, 3 days ago, passed away. He was 75. He was a martial artist. He was teaching class. He was fit as all get out, had some sort of heart issue, and before they could get to him, he was gone. And then earlier this week, because I think these things come in three, I know his sons, I know his daughter, I know all about what we did in an effort to get his George Foreman grill out, but George Foreman also passed away. So I'm thinking that God is lonely and needs some amazing new action heroes and friends. And so to the three of them, their families, and everyone who's ever a friend or a fan, we wish them well, we wish them rest in peace, but it serves that while you're on this side of the dirt, if you've got a dream, if you want to achieve something, the only thing stopping you is you and the beliefs in what you think you can and cannot do. I ask you to challenge those beliefs, push your envelope, and dream bigger than you ever imagined, because you won't know if you can do it until you attempt to do it. I don't believe in trying, I believe in doing. Like Yoda said, there is no try, there is only do. Guys, I'm Forbes Riley. I come to you every week here on Voice America. I love this platform. The Forbes Factor focuses on health, wealth, and happiness. And today I hope you got a little touch of all three. And I hope that you're in fact jonesing and going, how come I'm not in this beautiful exotic place? I will leave you with a little walk around as I end today's show. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you again next time. Check this out. Woo, look at that. It's just so exotic. Bye, everybody.